Mindset by Dweck. Although you may not be conscious of them, you have powerful beliefs that affect what you want and whether you get it. In Mindset, Dweck argues that your attitudes about your abilities and intelligence determine the course of your life, starting as early as your preschool years. Dweck is a psychology professor at Stanford University and has received numerous awards for her work in social and developmental psychology. She holds a Ph.D. in psychology from Yale University. Short form note: mindset is an outgrowth of the age-old nature versus nurture debate, that is, how much of our ability and personality are hardwired into us, and how much is the result of how we're raised. Recent studies suggest nurture is more important than nature, that growing up in a safe, secure, and inspirational environment outweighs innate abilities and behaviors. Dweck agrees with this assessment. The crux of her argument in Mindset is that we can continue to improve throughout our lives by nurturing our growth, and that doing so far outweighs whatever natural talents we do or don't possess. The two mindsets. Dweck begins by saying that your mindset shapes your entire personality, and it helps or hinders you from reaching your potential. It dictates how you interpret success, failure, and effort, as well as how you approach school, sports, work, and relationships. Dweck says that you learn one of two mindsets from your parents, teachers, and the media you consume: a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. 1. Fixed mindset. Personal qualities such as intelligence and personality are innate and unchangeable. Many of us are trained in this mindset from an early age and have heard some version of the following during our childhoods. "It's okay, kid, I was never good at math either." Some people are just naturally athletic, and you can't compete with them. "She's really smart, and that's why she gets A's." If you have a fixed mindset, you feel you must constantly prove yourself. If people are born with a set amount of intelligence or ability, then you want to prove that you have a lot, even though you secretly worry you were shortchanged. Superhero stories reinforce a fixed mindset mentality. Popular superheroes often perpetuate the notion that you must be gifted to do great things. For example, most Marvel superheroes can only fight against evil because they have innate abilities far beyond what any ordinary person is capable of. For example, Thor is an alien warrior prince with godlike powers. Hulk has incredible, no pun intended, strength and durability. Captain Marvel can fly and shoot energy blasts from her hands. Iron Man is a super genius. Entire teams of scientists and engineers can't replicate his inventions. 2. Growth mindset. People can change and improve. When you have a growth mindset, you believe the abilities you're born with are only a starting point. You can get smarter and improve yourself with hard work, persistence, and the right learning strategies. You have a passion for learning and welcome mistakes as opportunities to learn, and you seek challenges to push yourself. Learn how to learn. Brain and memory coach Jim Kwik's career is based on the growth-oriented premise that you can learn anything and improve your skills in any area. In his self-help book Limitless, he describes 3 aspects of learning. Mind frame. Before you can learn, you must believe that it's possible to do so, a growth mindset. Drive. Once you know that you can learn something, you have to want to learn it. Your drive for learning could either come from a natural interest in the subject or an outside motivation, such as career aspirations or personal goals. Techniques. Once you're ready to learn, you'll need effective methods of absorbing information quickly and retaining it permanently. Kwik believes that mastering these 3 things allows you to learn about any topic more quickly and easily than you thought possible. In fact, he credits his own success to this system of learning. Success and failure. Dweck says that in the fixed mindset world, success is about proving to yourself and others that you're smart and talented. Any type of setback is a failure. A bad grade, losing a competition, or not getting the job or promotion you wanted. Furthermore, if you have a fixed mindset, you take this type of failure to mean you're not smart or talented enough. Therefore, setbacks are intolerable and you're likely to quit trying. Conversely, success in the growth mindset world is about pushing yourself, learning, and improving. Failure means not seizing an opportunity to learn, not striving for what's important to you, or not reaching for your potential. Review your definition of success. The definition of success varies from person to person, and how you define it is ultimately rooted in your ideology. Many people, not to mention the Merriam-Webster dictionary, have rigid definitions of success. A person is successful if he achieves wealth, fame, or respect, all of which come from others, or if he accomplishes a predetermined desired outcome. According to Dweck, these common definitions come from fixed mindsets. Success means a good result, and the amount of effort that went into that result is irrelevant. By this measure, many of us feel like failures if we're not wealthy, or if our projects don't turn out the way we wanted. However, if success is defined by your personal ideals, then only you can decide how successful you've been. If you're not successful according to your own ideals, then you need to either revisit your actions or your ideals to determine where you're falling short. In other words, do you feel like a failure because you're not living up to your ideals, or are the ideals themselves flawed? For example, if your ideals are based on a fixed mindset definition of success, then reviewing your ideals and redefining success may be the key to a happy and fulfilling life. Perfection versus learning. Dweck says that, for people with fixed mindsets, perfection is essential. Since they don't believe in growth, they have to prove their natural talents by grasping everything immediately and perfectly. For example, when researchers asked students what made them feel smart, fixed mindset students said it was when they could do something quickly without making any mistakes. This also illustrates that, to the people with a fixed mindset, effort is a negative, a crutch for those without natural talent. However, growth-minded students said they felt smart when they tried hard and made progress, or they were able to do something they couldn't do before. To the people with a growth mindset, effort is a positive. These students felt accomplished when they saw improvement rather than when they proved their abilities. Short-form note. We've already discussed how people with fixed mindsets feel a need to show superiority to bolster their self-esteem, but, ironically, the perfectionism that comes with a fixed mindset is actually detrimental to self-esteem. In her book The Gifts of Imperfection, researcher and best-selling author Brené Brown tells us that perfectionism is dangerous because it's based on unrealistic expectations. It's impossible to be perfect, or even to seem perfect. Unfortunately, the perfectionist mindset doesn't allow you to realize that you set impossible goals. Instead, you shame and berate yourself for not being good enough to live up to them. How the mindsets affect children. Dweck warns us that children can develop mindsets as early as 3 years old. At this age, children are listening and watching all of the adults around them, and they absorb modeled behavior of fixed and growth mindsets. Fixed mindsets slow or shut down children's innate drive to learn. Some children begin rejecting challenges because they fear failure or having people see them fail. As a result, fixed mindset children become non-learners. By contrast, children who have growth mindsets embrace challenges and relish becoming smarter, which lays the foundation for lifelong learning. Short-form note. In First Things First, Stephen Covey says that learning is one of 4 essential human needs, desires that we have to fulfill in order to feel happy and accomplished. Covey writes that this need encompasses not just formal education, but constant, lifelong learning. Therefore, a child who becomes afraid to take on challenges and learn new things runs the risk of becoming an unhappy, unfulfilled adult. Dweck explores 2 behaviors that can instill and reflect a fixed mindset in children: praise and bullying. Praise. Parents and teachers typically try to build children's self-confidence by praising their performance, but Dweck warns that this can be harmful. Praising performance sends a 2-part message. Adults value ability, and they determine the child's ability based on his or her performance. This promotes a fixed mindset. Instead, she suggests applying a growth mindset. Praise children for what they've achieved through good study strategies, practice, effort, and persistence. Show interest in how they succeeded or improved, and by how much, rather than on the result or performance itself. For instance, you might comment, "That was much better than last time. Your practice is really paying off," or, "It's great how you kept trying different tricks to remember all those facts." The best way for parents to help their children build confidence is to teach them to welcome challenges, to learn from mistakes, and to continually try new learning strategies. Short-form note. Praise is a form of positive reinforcement, a reward for something that you want that person to continue doing. Behavioral psychologists currently believe that the best way to change a person's behavior is to use positive reinforcement in combination with extinction, or ignoring unwanted behavior. For example, if a student brags about how smart he is, demonstrating a fixed mindset, you would ignore those comments and instead praise how hard he worked for his grades, a growth mindset. Although Dweck focuses on praise for children, this behavior-changing method works on people of any age. Bullying. Dweck believes that bullying can cause victims to develop fixed mindsets. Victims come to believe that they really are inferior in some way, and therefore must deserve the bullying. This is especially true if no one else stands up for them. Dweck adds that victims with fixed mindsets are more likely to have revenge fantasies, to want to strike back and hurt the bully, either to prove their own superiority or because they see the bully as a bad person who deserves to be punished. Conversely, victims who have growth mindsets, despite the bullying, are more likely to want to understand, help, and ultimately reform their aggressor. Furthermore, Dweck argues that bullying not only causes but is also caused by fixed mindset thinking. The bullies judge vulnerable kids as inherently less valuable. Bullies prove their superiority by singling out others as inferior because of some real or perceived difference. Short-form note. Some child and adolescent psychologists believe that taking a growth mindset approach to helping and rehabilitating bullies is the right idea. Research suggests that bullies act the way they do because they lack the social and self-regulatory skills to interact with their peers in a healthy way. If that's true, then punishing bullies is ineffective because they don't know how to do better. Therefore, anti-bullying efforts should focus instead on teaching them the skills they lack. How the mindsets affect your life. Dweck says that your mindset is the basis of your thoughts, actions, and experiences. It impacts every aspect of your life. Here are a few examples. The mindsets in sports. Fixed mindset thinking is often found in the world of sports, where the child who is a natural is expected to achieve and the others aren't. Naturals do exist in sports, but Dweck believes that talent becomes a drawback for people with fixed mindsets. These kids tend to not push themselves, either because they already feel superior or because they're terrified of failure. Furthermore, fixed mindset athletes tend to put individual performance ahead of teamwork because they're preoccupied with their own success. In contrast, Dweck says that athletes with growth mindsets find defeat motivating, rather than discouraging or frustrating. They define success as learning, improving, and doing their best. Athletes with growth mindsets also understand the importance of working with their teammates. They don't look down on people whom they see as less talented than themselves because they believe in their ability to improve. Practice widens talent gaps. While Dweck acknowledges that some people are more talented in certain areas than others, she may be understating how impactful that difference is. The Sports Gene discusses a study from the early 1900s where adults practiced multiplying three-digit numbers together, and researchers tracked their improvement. The study found that the adults who were more skilled at the beginning of the study also improved more quickly. In other words, practice widened the gap rather than narrowing it. The takeaway: people who are naturally talented actually benefit the most from practice. This effect can be compounded for early bloomers, who benefit from additional opportunities to nurture their natural talent. Because of this, one study suggests that the difference between the effects of talent versus hard work might not be as clear-cut as it seems. Here's how it works. At a young age, someone is identified as gifted in a particular area, say, football. Adults nurture those gifts through special attention and extra training. For example, they encourage the child to attend training and workout sessions and to try out for the football team. Thanks to this extra work, the student advances in that area more than his peers. The perceived talent has become a self-fulfilling prophecy. For instance, the student has become a skilled football player through hard work, all while believing that he's just naturally gifted at it. The mindsets in business. Dweck believes that the mindset of a company's leader is a key determinant of whether a company fails or succeeds. Fixed mindset leaders tend to believe they're geniuses who don't need strong executive teams, just underlings to implement their ideas. They're concerned with looking superior and enhancing their own reputations, rather than serving the company's best interests. Dweck explains that their egos drive them to belittle their employees and ignore or deny their own mistakes, which can run their companies into the ground. In contrast to the companies with fixed mindset leaders, the atmosphere in a company with a growth-oriented leader is positive and energized. They believe in everyone's ability to learn and develop. Dweck says that instead of using their company as a tool for self-promotion, growth-minded leaders focus on improving the company and employees. Most industry-leading companies, regardless of the industry, operate with growth mindsets. Incorporate a growth mindset into meetings. In Playing to Win, former Procter & Gamble CEO A.G. Lafley uses the terms advocacy and inquiry to describe different meeting styles, each of which reflects Dweck's two mindsets. Advocacy, fixed mindset. Lafley says that the traditional strategy meeting has someone presenting an idea and then defending it against his or her colleagues. Rather than working together to come to the best solution, this approach is about the presenter proving that he's right and that his idea is good. As is characteristic of a fixed mindset, if he's not able to defend his idea and achieve the desired result, that's seen as a failure and a sign that he's not good at his job. Inquiry, growth mindset. In contrast, Lafley pushes for a system of open inquiry when designing company strategy. In this system, the presenter asks for ideas and feedback from the audience. The purpose isn't to prove that he's correct, and therefore smart and talented, but to come up with the best possible strategy for the company. As with a growth mindset, this system recognizes that every employee has the potential to contribute, every idea has the potential to be better, and that even a talented and experienced strategist may have overlooked something. The mindsets in relationships. Dweck believes that having a fixed mindset can lead to relationship problems. In a fixed mindset, you believe that your traits and your partners are unchangeable. As a result, you also believe your relationship is unchangeable. You're either meant to be and will live happily ever after, or you're doomed to a life of misery and an eventual breakup. Dweck points out that people with fixed mindsets have counterproductive beliefs about relationships. For example, partners should be so in sync that they can read each other's minds, they should have the same views on everything, and relationship problems stem from unchangeable character flaws or unresolvable disagreements. Conversely, Dweck says people with growth mindsets believe that you can have problems and still have a good relationship. To the person with a growth mindset, flaws and disagreements can be worked through using clear communication, and doing that work with your partner is an opportunity to get closer to each other. Growth begins with acceptance. One way to bring a growth mindset to relationships is to practice what Tara Brach calls radical acceptance. Briefly, radical acceptance means that you take each moment as it comes and accept your experiences for what they are without trying to judge or change them. Brach believes that this practice allows us to stay in control of ourselves, consider each situation with a calm and rational mind, and determine the best way to handle it. In relationships, radical acceptance means approaching problems and disagreements with recognition and compassion. For example, instead of saying that your partner is wrong about something, you might say, "Clearly we disagree about this," recognition. Then you would attempt to understand your partner's point of view and respect it, even if you can't agree with it, compassion. Brach adds that this process applies to all relationships, not just romantic ones. How to develop a growth mindset. Dweck believes that learning about the two mindsets and how they affect you can prompt you to start making changes. However, completely changing your habitual thought patterns takes time and work. Often, the fixed mindset hangs around and competes with the growth-oriented ways of thinking that you're trying to adopt. Your fixed mindset beliefs about being smart, athletic, talented, or ambitious might be your source of self-esteem, and it can be difficult to give up those beliefs for more challenging ideas about developing yourself through effort and mistakes. Dweck warns that when you reform your mindset, you may temporarily feel like you're losing your sense of who you are. However, the growth mindset ultimately frees you from constantly judging yourself so you can be authentic and explore your full potential. In other words, you won't be so concerned about who you are, because you'll be focused on who you can become. Mindset begins with values. One way to change your mindset is to examine your values and determine whether they support a growth mindset. In The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***ck, Mark Manson argues that our thoughts and actions, and, ultimately, our happiness, begin with our values. Manson describes 3 criteria for healthy values, 2 of which strongly align with a growth mindset. They're fact-based. Positive values stem from concrete and provable facts, rather than feelings or opinions. For example, honesty is a positive value, while happiness, a feeling not rooted in anything concrete, is a negative one. While natural talent may be quantified through a measure like IQ, you can also gauge values like hard work and diligence through how much you practice and improve in a skill. They're constructive. Positive values benefit you and those around you. For example, discipline is a positive value, while power, which relies on pushing others down in order to elevate yourself, is a negative one. A growth mindset is inherently constructive, since it pushes you to improve yourself. They're within your control. Positive values don't rely on external factors. For example, fame is a negative value because it's based on other people's opinions of you. Fixed mindset values such as intelligence and talent fall under this category. They rely on being born with those qualities, which is something that you cannot control. Begin adjusting your mindset. Achieving a growth mindset is a journey. You won't get there all at once. Dweck suggests following these steps toward developing a growth mindset. 1. Accept that you have a fixed mindset. Even when you're on a path to growth, you have lingering fixed mindset beliefs. In fact, everyone has a mix of fixed and growth-oriented beliefs. You can acknowledge this reality without accepting the negatives a fixed mindset causes. Short-form note: Dweck echoes the cliché that the first step toward making a change is admitting you have a problem. However, that's actually a misquote of the first step of the Alcoholics Anonymous program, which is admitting that your problem has made your life unmanageable. Just as the 12-step program of AA doesn't stop after step 1, it's not enough to simply realize that something is wrong. Making a major change requires you to recognize and acknowledge that something is causing real, immediate, and serious harm to your life. In other words, you won't be able to change your mindset unless you believe that doing so is absolutely necessary. 2. Create a fixed mindset persona and identify her triggers. Ask yourself what triggers this part of you to come out. For instance, do you slip into a fixed mindset when you take on a difficult project or encounter a setback? After identifying your triggers, give your fixed mindset persona its own name and think of them as her triggers. Doing so will remind you that this isn't who you want to be. Short-form note: studies show that thinking in the third person, talking to yourself as if you were talking to someone else, can help you think more clearly and deal with difficult situations more effectively. Giving your fixed mindset its own name and persona serves the same purpose. Mentally separating yourself from the problem helps you control your feelings and engage your rational mind, as if you were giving advice to a friend rather than trying to solve a personal issue. 3. Confront your fixed mindset. When your fixed mindset materializes, have an imaginary conversation with it. For example, if your first attempt at a new skill doesn't go well, your fixed mindset way of thinking might tell you that you're not good at it and should give up. However, you can remind yourself that mistakes and failures are opportunities to learn and grow. Meet your fixed mindset with compassion. In Radical Acceptance, Brock tells the story of Buddha confronting Mara, the god of illusion and deceit. This parable about how to confront your own doubts and shortcomings offers insights into how to counter your fixed mindset thoughts. Whenever Mara would appear and try to dissuade the Buddha from his spiritual path, the Buddha, instead of trying to fight him off or shut him out, would acknowledge the god with a simple, "I see you, Mara." Then he would invite Mara in for tea and talk to him like an old friend. Mara, whose powers were based on tricks and deception, was unable to overcome the Buddha's open acceptance and compassion. He would eventually leave with no harm done. In the same way, you could see your fixed mindset persona as your own version of Mara. Instead of trying to force down that persona through frustration and disgust, try greeting it as an old friend. Meet its arguments about your limitations and natural talents, or lack of them, with respect and conviction. Eventually, your personal Mara will exhaust itself and leave you in peace.